And I suppose you could call me successful. I'm not a gigantic YouTuber by any means, but this endeavor has allowed me to live a life that I couldn't have imagined when I was in college and working for Best Buy. I drive a cool sports car, two of them, actually. I fly to Japan 3 to 4 times every year. Hell, I'm going back in a couple of weeks from the time this video will be uploaded. What I'm saying is, it's true that I make money from doing what I do on my channel. This is my job, after all, and I like to think I'm good at what I do.
The other side not only uses AI, but also encourages its use. I am not Batman. I will use the weapons of my enemy against them.
That's what being dark woke means. Friends of the channel, Eric Debunks, High CHD, and Otterly Noah were recently... Drinker is only calling this bitching because he's a misogynist that regularly lies about women on his platform because he knows his lunatic followers will not fact check him because they want to believe that women are one of the problems with modern entertainment. But these people honestly seem to believe we call these people grifters, grifters, a media grifter, because they don't like the latest Marvel movie. Instead of them actively lying about the latest Marvel movie in an attempt at making it look bad and generating hate clicks. Given your penchant for misinformation, bigotry, and your ridiculous behavior, I'd say you should shut this down before you lose your channel. Not that that would be a loss to anyone or anything, but still. What I'm saying is, you have bitten off more than you can chew, little buddy. You do not want me actually focusing on you and digging through your history. I have people that are in the same chats you are in, so this is not the droid you're looking for. You are not equipped to deal with someone like me, so stay in your lane. And that's why I'm here. The antivenom to the snakes poisoning your mind. I'm here to expose the grift.
Welcome everybody to the final part of Exposing the Birdman. I just want to thank everybody for watching up to this point, and if you have not seen part 1 or 2, it will be in the description below. You're definitely going to want to watch those for context because I'm just going to be jumping into this. We're going to be going over the Barbie movie in this portion of the video. The Birdman's going to talk, and then he's going to present Drinker's clip, and then he's going to go over Drinker's clip after it. I'm not going to talk until after he makes his statement because it's a little bit of a long clip. Alright, strap in.
Speaking of agendas, the Barbie movie and his subsequent analysis evaporated any hope I had left for this man's integrity. Listen to how he sums up the marketing of the film and then his reading of the actual film's release.
Now, before I dive into this review properly, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the hard work and genius PR campaign of the Warner Brothers marketing department. You guys really pulled off a miracle with this one, successfully duping all of us, including me, into believing that Barbie was going to be just another colourful, light-hearted, easygoing family comedy with some cheeky self-aware humour, ironic meta-gags, and probably capped off with a blandly inoffensive female empowerment message about girls learning the value of their own potential. What none of us expected was 114 minutes of spiteful, bitter, mean-spirited, borderline unhinged hatred of men and everything even vaguely associated with them. Barbie is like the deformed, mutated rage child of Captain Marvel, Ghostbusters 2016, and She-Hulk. It is pure brain cancer in movie form, and I was genuinely shocked by the sheer, undisguised contempt this film has towards 50% of the human population.
Besides the fact that this is one of the most hyperbolic, nonsensical summations of this movie, how could he have possibly come to that conclusion for the film's marketing? It was plainly obvious that Margot's Barbie was the main character and that she would face an existential crisis.
Do you guys ever think about dying?
Alright, I'm back. Now, after he lets Drinker finish with his point, he insults it, basically, calling it a hyperbolic, nonsensical summation. You know what? We're gonna pin this, okay? We're gonna leave it right here. We're gonna come back to it, okay? Okay, so right here, nothing that the Birdman says matches what Drinker said. He never said that Margot Robbie wasn't the main character, and he never says that the movie does or doesn't tell us if she's facing an existential crisis. This is something the Birdman just made up. It's completely obvious that she's going to face an existential crisis, sure, but where does Drinker say that that's not in the trailer? But continue with your point. I'm sure it will make more sense as it goes on.
On top of that, they show Barbie's feet going flat, suggesting that the film would be clearly feminist in nature, as feminists have been arguing against heels for decades.
Your intellect is as weak as your dollar. Failure is your destiny. You disrespect yourself and your nation. You are made of stupid.
Ladies and gentlemen, I regret to inform you that what he just said came out of his mouth. It was 100% real. Everything that he just said was in the video. It was all there. Where do I start with this? I have so many questions for this part. Number one, it's clear from the trailer that she's becoming more and more human. Would the feet going flat signify she's maybe transforming? Has the Birdman given a thought to maybe most people were thinking she's transforming instead of like jumping to, oh, feminists don't like high heels or some shit? That's the dumbest point to make. Next point, is the feet going flat kind of like that arm flex all feminists do? If you see this arm flex, usually it indicates feminism. In my research, I didn't see feet going flat signifying feminism. The only thing I could see is about high heels, like the Birdman mentioned. But in all of my research, I didn't see somebody's feet going up like that and then going down to signify feminism or whatever the fuck. Now, sure, you can consider it an Easter egg, and knowing this movie, it probably is an Easter egg for the feminist out there, but it also acts as a way to show that she's changing. This brings me neatly along to number 3 on the point of her changing. When the movie came out, research from the Smithsonian magazine found that only 40% of Barbie dolls had permanently arched feet. Not that you, a drinker, would know this, but I just wanted to point out what the vast majority of people were talking about. I didn't see anybody mention that the feet going flat in the trailer is an indication that the movie is going to be feminist throughout. And whenever they did bring up the feet going flat, it'd be a couple of people claiming that that's not accurate. Also, on the point of her changing, it wasn't just the feet going flat that signified that she was changing in the trailer. There were a couple of other things that showed that she was going through changes. So, literally, you're the only one talking about it. You're the only one talking about the feet. You're the only one.
The marketing material also shows Barbie entering the real world and experiencing sexual assault, and I can only conclude that Drinker's media literacy is questionable at best.
Ah yes, if only the Drinker said in his video after watching the movie that the trailer promised some female empowerment messaging. Oh wait!
I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the hard work and genius PR campaign of the Warner Brothers marketing department. You guys really pulled off a miracle with this one, successfully duping all of us, including me, into believing that Barbie was going to be just another colourful, light-hearted, easygoing family comedy with some cheeky self-aware humour, ironic meta-gags, and probably capped off with a blandly inoffensive female empowerment message about girls learning the value of their own potential.
So I guess he did expect that, what do you know? But wait, you may ask, with piss, shit, and cum in your pants. Mr. Gamer, why did Drinker get annoyed when he saw feminist messaging in the movie? Well, it's like this. It's like if you see a Spider-Man trailer and in it, he's delivering pizza. You think to yourself, oh cool, he's delivering pizza. It's like in Spider-Man 2, that's so cool. We get to see him working a shitty job, I have to do that, so he's like me. The him delivering pizza part was like maybe 5 or 10 seconds from the trailer, and the rest of it is Mary Jane is hot and he's fighting bad guys. I'm talking people will see this trailer and everyone will go, peak fire, bro. And now imagine the whole fucking movie is about that, 2 whole hours of watching Spider-Man delivering pizza. You're obviously confused and you go, what the fucking shit? Now to be fair, I'd watch the shit out of Spider-Man delivering pizza for 2 hours, but that doesn't change the fact that it was marketed as something different. Alright, let's talk about Barbie getting essayed when she crossed over. In the trailer, they talk about crossing over to the real world and how it's very weird, very different. And in the trailer, well, this happens in the movie as well, but in the trailer, some dude just comes out of nowhere and smacks Barbie's ass. If you want to, you can consider this part to be feminist. I'm sure there's some debate as to whether defending yourself against SA constitutes as feminist messaging, but Bird Boy seems to think that this is feminist messaging. So, for the sake of the argument, I will agree. Now, this scene can help your point a little bit, but this is the only point that you're kind of correct on. If we do a review of your points, you say that Barbie is going through an existential crisis. Drinker didn't say that she wasn't. You say that Barbie's feet going flat is clearly, and you said the word, clearly, feminist in nature. That's gonna be a minus point for you. This guy is saying Barbie is really the only clear example you can bring up of the trailer being feminist in nature. I see your point, but what did Drinker say again?
And probably capped off with a blandly inoffensive female empowerment message about girls learning the value of their own potential.
Oh yeah, right. Anyway.
To belabor this point, he's been caught changing the titles of his videos after a media property releases to hide his terrible perception of marketing material.
Oh no, what a monster. Drinker really changed the titles of his videos. How could I ever trust him? Actually, I wonder if somebody asked him about this.
I'm making a video rebutting Birdman's stupidity. One of the points in his video was that you change titles of your videos when you're wrong or when people don't agree with you. For example, your House of the Dragon video. Would you care to explain to the dumbasses why you did that? I obviously don't believe you changed it because you were scared or you regretted it. Yeah, this is a weird one. Like any YouTuber, I suppose I change the titles of my videos sometimes because I don't know about you, Mauler, and I don't know how other people do it, but like I make the review, like I write the script, edit it, record all the audio, put all the video in, and then upload it. And literally while it's uploading, I'll try and think of a title for it. That's it. Yeah. It's like the last stage in the process for me. And quite often, my titles are a bit shit, or like they don't quite encapsulate what I'm trying to say about the movie or whatever. Or in one case, like with Prey, I think when it was basically a reaction to the trailer and making some predictions about the movie, people were literally getting confused about it and thought that it was my review of the finished film, even though it was made like 3 or 4 months before the film actually came out. And so in a case like that, for example, I had to change it just to avoid the complete misunderstanding of what I was doing. It was like, yeah, this title is not informing people of what I'm trying to do here. And in some other cases, it's just, yeah, I've come up with a better idea for a title here that better describes my feelings for this film.
Yeah, I usually try and keep some kind of thing about what the title might be, but most of my titles are actually concluded very close to release because I really just wrestle with it all the time. I never know exactly what I kind of want to give off as a tone or description, but yeah, I don't know. It's I remember because you do trailer assessments and then film assessments, so you can easily get them mixed up. Or rather, someone could get them mixed up by looking at your videos without looking at the dates. So,
yeah, and I guess I never realized like how like hyper focused people can be on the things that I do. Where like for me, it was just a simple admin task of like, oh, that title is not quite right, or I'll go and alter that, or you know, yeah, people are misunderstanding what I'm doing with this old video. I better change it to something that's a bit more descriptive. And then, yeah, like people are concocting all these wild theories like, oh my God, he's getting scared of criticism and pushback. He has to change it. Like, it's weird.
Totally.
Yeah.
So it must count for an immense amount to your character that you haven't switched 99.9% of your videos and titles then. That's gotta be crazy.
I would say so, yeah. Because like, I'm more than happy to take criticism for a video that I you know, say I might watch a movie and I fucking hate it, but then the majority of my viewers loved it. And they're like, yeah, you're fucking wrong on that one. You're an idiot or whatever. Like, okay, fine. Well, that was my opinion. I stick by it. If it's literally just, you know, this title kind of might seem a bit misleading and I don't think it sums up my thoughts very well, I should change it to something better. That's a different thing for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm more than happy to take criticism for the things I did do. But yeah, it's a bit unfair to take it for things I didn't, you know?
I find this funny because the Birdman could have asked him this question himself, but instead he made a video bitching about it. The Drinker has guests up on his live streams all the time, talking about media. You could have been one of those content creators talking about media with him. You could have asked him this question. If you had any question for Critical Drinker, you could have just went up on his platform and asked him. Or you could have invited him onto your platform to ask him. You could have asked him for an interview. He does interviews. You could have done a lot of things, but instead, you made the shittiest, the most uninformed video possible. A video that, if made by a normal person, would take talent to make so shitty. I would hope that if you made it this far into the video series, you would know that this is a guy that professionally eats crayons. And to make himself not look as stupid as he actually is, he eats the crayons with a fork and a knife.
And if all that wasn't enough to prove that Mr. Jordan has the integrity of a sandcastle, here's something that was brought to my attention. On one of Drinker's live streams, he attributed a false quote to Isabella Merced about the failure of Madame Web.
Some of the stars of the film have got theories about why that is, and one of them is right here. Isabella Merced, is that the word? Merced?
Sure. Yeah.
She said it failed for one simple reason. For the same reason that the Marvels or Bird of Prey failed, because the male audience still hides a deep contempt for everything that is starring strong, independent women.
Oh, God. The truth is the truth, I guess.
Sure. I mean, that's definitely the reason Birds of Prey failed and the Marvels. It wasn't because they were bad films that no one wanted. For sure.
Isabella was, of course, inundated with hate from parrots that took these quotes at face value because why would grifters lie to them? She then had to come out and deny these clearly false allegations, but by then, the damage was already done. To date, there has been no update, no retraction, no public apology on Twitter from Will Jordan for spreading this quote, and that's because he has a vested interest in seeing the culture war proliferate in media discourse, as this is profitable for him.
Just like the Birdman's research that he did previously, he didn't give you a link to this video, he didn't give you any timestamps for this video so that way we can verify, and he did not give you any context. It seems I would have to do all of this. In Open Bar 85, timestamp 55 minutes and 30 seconds, the fake Isabella Merced quote is read to the panel. The reason I thought this was important to share is because little under 15 minutes after this clip, at the 1 hour and 9 minute mark, the little platoon brings up another fake Isabella Merced quote.
Yeah.
Did
on
I
the plus
also
side,
read, sorry, there's Isabella Merced who gave us the quote that we kicked off with. Didn't she also say that she'd signed on to Superman Legacy because she'd read what the script was going to do with Lois and was really, really impressed? And so this is another example of proper female character writing or something.
Yeah, I can give you the quote here, actually. She said, the actress of Peruvian origin, because apparently that's really important, she praised James Gunn and said that she's just accepted to be Hawk Girl in Superman Legacy, and when she read the script, she said that Lois Lane is really the protagonist of this movie. Superman is the symbol, but she is the ideal brought to action while being a normal woman and real.
Okay, well, for one, thank you for showing us you don't know shit. If this quote is real, by the way, I know yesterday we couldn't confirm it. It was something that's been going around on Facebook, and we haven't been able to. My friend Ryan Kinnell did a video on it, and he talked about it on Geeks and Gamers Daily, and they weren't able to attribute it. But if they said that, like, Lois Lane's never been just a hot girl, okay, like, ever.
As soon as he brings that up, Gary corrects him and says that that one is proven to be false. Throughout the entire discussion, they never insult Isabella Merced, and they even correct false quotes. This is actual and irrefutable proof that if they knew that the first quote was fake, they would have corrected themselves. Now, did Critical Drinker have a hand in spreading this quote? Yes. Did this quote turn popular before Critical Drinker have a chance to get his hands on it? Yes. Can people mistakenly spread around false quotes? Of course. Look at you here, quoting, at the beginning of your video, a fucking Nazi, who actually didn't say what you said he quoted. Some fake quotes get spread around, that's just how it is, and he wasn't the only one who had a hand in spreading this quote around, and if he finds out that the quote is fake, he will correct it. I do, however, find it weird that you hold his feet to the fire instead of the people who actually made up the quote in the first place. To this date, there's been no update, there's been no retraction, and there's been no apology from the Birdman for not going after the person who actually made up the quote in the first place. Now, this whole fake quote thing wasn't really a big deal. I don't think drinkers should be held accountable for this, and in my opinion, the only people who really need to be held accountable are the journalist and the people who harassed Isabella Merced. That being said, if you think that Drinker should have acknowledged that the quote was fake, he did very briefly. One of his super chatters informed him that the quote was fake. The super chatter's name is Idiotosin? I'm trying here, but he says that everybody gets his name wrong, so I'm trying, but hey, what can you do? Look, all you need to know is that he makes videos that are really fucking good, and he made a video on the Birdman, so check that out. Anyways, here's Drinker acknowledging the quote to be fake.
Where is the next one? Idiotison says, "Hey, Drinkoid. Not sure if anyone told you, but good news. The quote from Isabella Merced saying Madam Web failed because of sexism turned out to not be real." Great. I'm happy about that.
And there you go. The matter's done and dusted. It wasn't really that big to begin with. Isabella Merced still has a career. Everyone is fine. The world is spinning. So let's move on.
Even if he didn't know the quote was fake, this shows the lack of research and effort he puts into his work. No discernment, no ability to perform an investigation, and hastily attributes an obviously fake quote in a concerted effort to confirm his biases. Why would you take anything he says seriously at this point? How can you trust he's done the homework?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Okay, he wants to keep talking about it. Well, let's break it down even more. Saying that it's obviously fake is obviously bullshit because hindsight is obviously 2020. The quote's only obviously fake because you know that it's fake. But there are quotes like this out in the world. How many times have you seen a movie fail and the actors blame the audience, or the directors or the producers, they start blaming the audience? In a movie or TV show with a female lead, how many times have you seen actors blame the men for not liking female leads? If you need an example, just look at the prolific retard Freddie Prinze Jr. talk about Star Wars.
I did a Star Wars cartoon, so even I get hate from Star Wars fans when I'm like, look, dog, you're just mad the franchise isn't aging with you.
Right.
But that ain't how it works. The first one was for fucking kids.
Right. Yep.
The second 3 were for different fucking kids. And this one is for kids. You're just pissed off that Han Solo gave the fucking Millennium Falcon to a girl.
Yeah.
That's it. Because Luke Skywalker's Cinderella. Or Sleeping Beauty,
Yeah.
okay? He can talk to things that don't speak English and understands what they're fucking saying.
Yeah.
He gets a fairy godfather instead of a fairy godmother who teaches him how to be the best Jedi in the world in no time fucking flat. And everybody, like, I know more about the Force than most people because Dave Filoni taught me and George Lucas taught him.
They've been doing this for years now, so excuse the fuck out of the people who believed the quote that was actually what she said. By the way, just as a side, fuck Freddie Prinze Jr. That stupid little unflipped asswaffle wants to relay information that George Lucas supposedly told him, but that information from George Lucas was told to him by Dave Filoni. By the way, if you're not a Star Wars fan, a quick translation is that you got told that you have ass cancer, but the person who told you that you have ass cancer is a fucking monkey dressed in a lab coat. You're like, you think it's a doctor, but really it's a fucking monkey in a lab coat. And you're like, this can't be right, but the fucking thing has a doctorate. Why the fuck does it have a doctorate?
Stop ranting about Star Wars.
The fuck are you?
Meditate.
Oh! Somebody! He needs some. All of those sounds that are trapped in your mind.
Ah, that made me feel better. Okay, where was I? So that clip by Freddie Prinze Jr. and the 2 retards laughing along was the first thing that came to mind. The reason why is because there's so many examples that I don't really have to think when I'm talking about them. For example, here's another one, because there's plenty of examples that I think I'm just going to give you another one.
Our Star Wars show has been canceled. And I'm going to be transparent and say that it's not a huge shock for me. Of course, I live in the bubble of my own reality, but for those who aren't aware, there has been a rampage of vitriol that we have faced since the show was even announced, when it was still just a concept and when no one had even seen it. And that's when we started experiencing a rampage of, I would say, hyper-conservative bigotry and vitriol, prejudice, hatred, and hateful language towards us, and supported us vocally despite and in the face of all of the vitriol that we received and the kind of the targeted attack, I would say, we received by the alt-right.
So again, how is this obviously fake? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Also, listening to you give us shitty evidence from your surface-level research, and then turning around and talking about the drinker's lack of research and effort is fucking hilarious. The quotes from Isabella Merced was spread February 29th, 2024, and then 2 days later, on March 2nd, 2024, Open Bar discussed the quote. It was only 2 days. People have been talking about the quote, and word hasn't gotten around yet at this time that the quote was fake. Isabella Marced then made a statement about the quote because she was getting a ton of hate for it, 2 days before Drinker said anything. This is well before Drinker. Now the news about the quote being fake didn't really spread like the quote itself, which is why they talked about it on Open Bar. These mistakes happen all the time, and he probably saw it the day before and then talked about it the next day. And I think Drinker here, with the help of his Open Bar, was doing a good job in being careful about not targeting Isabella Marced. They knew that there was a chance that the quote was fake, so they targeted the quote itself and not the person who said it. Also, this is a podcast where he dicks around with his friends and talks about movies. What do you mean his work? You know, Birdman, I think sometimes you should give people the benefit of the doubt. Oh, no, wait. I forgot. He's Big Bad Racist Man. Let's just continue. Howdy, so I made a little bit of a fucky-wucky, guys. I'm sorry about that. Whoops. Future Gamist here to clear up the past me mistakes, and I already edited all of that, and I don't want to delete it and then re-edit it, but I mean, it's mostly good information. It's just one thing that plays in favor of Drinker, by the way. They did not stream May 2nd. That's when they uploaded the stream. I am, when you watch your videos back, you notice these types of very small blunders, but this happens to be kind of a big one because, they did not stream May 2nd. They streamed February 29th. So, I mean, what the fuck, dude? It's the same day. So that's even less of a window for them to know that was even a fake quote to begin with. This is probably even before her tweet. I don't know. I don't know if it was before her tweet, but it was on February 29th. Okay, now let's get back to Birdman's horrible video.
This is not the first time he's been caught manipulating a narrative. The YouTuber Pillar of Garbage exposed Drinker for lying about scenes in Glass Onion because Drinker has a political gripe with Rian Johnson, the director of Glass Onion, and The Last Jedi, a film he and his ilk have pilloried for the past 7 years because of perceived wokeness.
Fucking Christ, do you see how he talks? A film that he and his ilk have pilloried for the last... Shut the fuck up. This is going to irk my nerves the more he talks about Star Wars because he's going to bring up The Acolyte. Star Wars was once very dear to me. Very dear to my heart. I was obsessed with everything about Star Wars for a time, and if you ask me a question about Star Wars, I most likely will know it. In these Star Wars sections, I'm going to try and not be aggressive or angry. I'm going to try and control my emotions. I won't lie to you, Disney Star Wars has been such a trigger for me for a long time for certain movies that came out. If somehow you don't know what I'm talking about the sequel trilogy. So, anyway, what frustrates me about the Birdman is that he talks about these movies like being woke is the only thing wrong with the sequel trilogy. Let me be crystal clear. The sequel trilogy being woke is not even the top 10 to 15 things wrong with those set of movies. The Last Jedi failed so spectacularly that with the decline of good storytelling, its relevance rose to infamy. As a movie, it did everything it could to not only turn its own fan base against it, but also fail in every basic step to make a movie slightly enjoyable. This goes beyond woke. I keep hearing from people who I can only assume are the reason shampoo has directions on the back of the bottle. That hate for The Last Jedi is propaganda. Propaganda this, propaganda that. How about you propaganda at some books and read words that have more than 2 syllables in it? How about before you praise The Last Jedi, you consider hydrating before choking on my balls for the next 7 business days? Whew, meditation. Okay, rant over. Anyway, Glass Onion.
Here's a clip.
The example Drinky gives for Rian Johnson's blatant rewriting is the scene where Blanc and, as we later see, Helen spot Duke's voyeurism.
Batista's watching his girlfriend supposedly having an affair with Miles only to be observed by Blanc. Now look at the later version of this exact same scene. Noticed how Helen's been added in here when she totally should have been visible before.
Except no, that isn't true. There's a reason the Drinker plays these clips on mute. Let me put the sound back on for you. That was the first time we see this. There's a close shot of Duke, then we hear the twig snap, and then we pull back to a shot revealing Blanc. Here's the scene as we're shown it later on. We start with this slightly wider shot, revealing Blanc and Helen, then Helen leaves, causing that sound, and Duke turns round. This point is the moment we saw earlier on, and there's a very obvious, very obtrusive sound cue, the sole purpose of which is to communicate precisely this. Look, you can enjoy the way moments like this toy with the audience perspective, complementing the film's themes, these ideas of how we see and how we falsely composite and rationalize these perceptions away from the truth, away from what's really plainly shown to us, or you can dislike it. But what you can't do is lie about how the film constructs moments like these on a mechanical level. And that's what the drinker does here to cap off his video, to build into this last point.
He shows a bunch of Pillar of Garbage's horrible fucking video that he did on Glass Onion. This is where Pillar of Garbage tries to praise the movie while calling Drinker a liar. All the while, ironically, he's lying about Drinker in his own video. EFAP did a whole livestream tearing into this video because it's honestly one of the worst videos on YouTube. That livestream was EFAP number 222. Now there was a new one that came out recently. They're a little bit more concise in the new one and it makes for better editing, so I'm going to put the new one here, and I'm also going to tell you about 222 because that's just one of the best EFAPs ever. Don't worry, I got Mauler's permission, so we could sit here and comfortably watch as they tear Pillar of Garbage's point apart. He's using clips of Pillar of Garbage's horrible video, so I decided to use clips from a better video, an altogether better channel. Hey, future gamer here, quick little note. The person who made the video is called Calesto. He's really good. And the person that is in Calesto's video is called Fair's Fair. Their channels are going to be linked in the description below. I completely forgot to mention their names. I don't know why. That's on me. Anyway, back to the video.
Critical Drinker did not mute the audio. He has replaced the film's audio with his own voice recording to
I can't believe you have to explain this. Like the clips he shows does not have the film audio.
From a review, you should just have the audio in there. So when you're cutting between scenes of characters talking or where loud music is playing, you should just have that running as you're talking so that nobody can understand what the fuck you're saying.
It's kind of weird that this is what 100% of film reviewers do, and yes, it's being pointed out as a crazy bad.
You're over exaggerating.
I don't know. We might be talking about literally 100%.
There's gonna be one retard who leaves the sound on, okay?
By accident.
of the scene.
Like this scene where Batista is watching his girlfriend supposedly having an affair with Miles only to be observed by Blanc. Now look at the later version of this exact same scene. Notice how Helen's been added in here when she totally should have been.
And just because it's not included, I'll do it quickly here for chat. So the reason why we hated this and Drinker hates it too is because when you have person's dead on the floor, loads of stab wounds, guy is standing there with a knife in his hand, and the film is like, what do you think happened? And you think about it and you're like, well, I don't know. And then right at the end of the film, the camera does a flashback to that moment, pans to the right, and there's another dude with another knife, and it's like, I did it. You're like, oh well, yeah, I couldn't have known that, so that's cool.
You just lied to me.
It's a worthless fucking endeavor for your brain. You're just waiting for Ryan to be like, whoa, this is what happened, and he did the funniest one. Turns out there was a twin the whole time. This is a joke, like, and yes, it's pathetic, and all of the scenes in which she's in it, you're just like, oh, okay, I guess that's what happened.
Visible before.
With this logic, he has manipulated every other scene he has discussed in his review. Hell.
Yeah, that's actually another really good point. Exactly. He muted all of them, dude. So the whole movie, every video he's ever made, actually, Drinker. How could you?
Everyone is manipulating footage with this logic. And we are talking about a twig snap audio cue that takes place 1 hour apart, a fairly easy detail to miss. Now, this is where I owe my viewers an apology. I strive to be accurate in my videos and to generate well thought out arguments. Unfortunately, when I previously discussed this same topic, I made a mistake. I stated that Pillar of Garbage was correct and the Critical Drinker made a mistake. It is then in my comment section that someone directed me to a video by Fair's Fair. Please check out his channel as he does excellent work.
This video is also linked in the description from Fair's Fair. I can't remember if we ever showed this before, but if we had it, we haven't shown it again now because this is important context. But
I feel like I'd remember those eyes.
When you have an autism war, the details will win, and obviously it starts with like the film, and then you could argue that Drinker and us came at it on the autistic sort of nitpicking of these two scenes don't match, and then someone else comes back with, oh yeah, well if you actually put them together and listen closely for the twig snap, they match in such a way that they wouldn't have shown what you're saying they should have shown. So it's fine. I think our response to that was, it doesn't matter whether or not the clip was ahead or before, we're talking about the fact that he gave us completely different information in the two versions of the scene, so we couldn't possibly have done anything with that. It just feels like a betrayal of the whole genre, but this gets more interesting when you put even more autism into it.
In his video, he dives into the matter and actually is able to prove that the scene was manipulated. The woman should have been visible partially when she was not.
So buckle your seatbelts and try to keep up. This is going to get confusing fast. Now, Drinker had shown Bugle Bros lean out on his own, then them leaning out together. But as laid out, the single lean happened after the stick sound, while the double lean happened before. This could have just been tricky editing. They cut the double lean out from scene A so that Ally wouldn't be there. This presumes that this bit of them both sticking out was simply not shown to us, and the film decided to purposefully remove a section of the timeline to mislead the audience. Though the end bit should have definitely had the Ally visible over the buff guy's shoulder, so Drinker could still be right, but he only showed the leaning discrepancy. But listen here to the snap that Mound of Refuse used to point out that the two leans were on either side of it. This snap is a unifying piece.
Yep, that's why they do this clap.
Well, it's he's about to point it out, but it's interesting because the snap, it's clearly when you show them, it's like there's something a bit off there, the comparison. What's going on?
But it's the timing on that snap in scene A that kills this debate. The snap sound plays while the camera is facing buff guy, but that sound was made by Ally moving to a new spot from behind this shrub, which means that we absolutely should have seen them leaning out and her moving behind him.
I'm afraid, Autism Bros, it's over. This is a deadlock.
Autism wins. Yeah.
Evidence
Can't
is
autism the tism lords or whatever.
Irrefutable from the very media being discussed. There is now only one option, that the scene was altered to play out differently later, to gaslight the audience into believing events had happened in a different way that contradicts what actually did happen.
Please go and see EFAP's full stream in the description below.
Why would Drinker do that? Is he incompetent or is he a blatant liar? These are the only two choices you have, and both of them are damning for his reputation.
We're gonna have to go to a commercial.
No, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it.
These are your only two options because I said so. These are the only two. What a stupid fucking... I don't even know what to say to that, honestly. Like, if you bought into everything Pillar of Garbage said, then I could see why you would have this thought. But, I mean, it's so fucking stupid.
And yet, he doesn't seem to care, because I guess his followers don't seem to care. I mean, he publicly demonstrates that he can't keep up with basic logic all the time.
Oh boy, okay, get ready for his demonstration. We're going back to Star Wars. Prepare yourself.
Look at this tweet from Star Wars Holocron. They are very obviously making the point that sometimes a show's first season isn't always where it finally ends up, with a couple examples, including The Clone Wars and Breaking Bad. When Will saw this, I mean, how do you fail at understanding the point this hard? This is one of two things. He either understands the point being made but is attempting to misrepresent the point to, again, galvanize an already volatile audience against a contentious product, thereby sending his parrots to harass this account, which actually fucking happened, or he doesn't understand the purpose of an analogy.
The Acolyte is one of the worst piece of trash productions I've ever had the displeasure of witnessing. Not only does it consistently and overwhelmingly break lore, but it spits in the face of logic in storytelling, and fuck even logic in general. If you're going to say that a first season is never the best, or isn't the best in a lot of cases, the show you're talking about has to be good in the first place. Rocky starts are a thing, but so bad that it goes to the point of completely unwatchable is another. This show had people making video after video explaining why it's horrible, but fucking explanation, the audience didn't need a 40-minute long video going over the details of the show to realize it's a pillar of garbage that a man bird shit out. Anyone who wasn't sucking Disney's cock and balls knew that this show was terrible. So much so that it's the first Disney show on their come-stand excuse of a streaming platform to officially get canceled. Usually, they sweep projects under the rug, like Rian Johnson's trilogy or fucking Taika Waititi's trilogy, and then never talk about it again. Just give them the old, "It's coming, guys." But with this show, they had to announce that it's flat out canceled. It shit the bed so badly, Amber Heard felt the spirit of its flatulence before the show itself faded into nothingness. With a show as insulting as this, you don't even make a passing comparison between it and Breaking Bad, or to any other show for that matter. It gets no second season. Cry about it. Alright, 2 things about the tweets. 1, we don't know if these people are subscribed to Drinker. Not only is the Birdman's evidence always incomplete because he never backs up any of his claims, but if we take more than a passing glance to them, they fall short of proving his point. Look at the first post from Victor. He says, quote, "You know what Breaking Bad didn't do? Insult its audience. Most shows only get 1 season to prove themselves, and most don't get a small fortune in budget. Face it, The Acolyte was bad and deserves to be canceled. Honestly, how is this harassment? Is it because it didn't have your opinion? It didn't have your opinion, did it? Maybe that's why it's harassment? Because you didn't agree with it? Fuck off." Next, Ray says, "In all seriousness, go fuck yourself." Now, I guess that could kind of be considered harassment if I'm charitable, but if you've never gotten a go fuck yourself from an online stranger, then you've probably spent all of 5 minutes on the internet. And now for point 2. To think that Drinker is responsible for the retards that go and harass people on his behalf is very stupid. I don't want to dive more into this point because this is obvious, and if anyone has a brain, then they will know that you can't control millions of people to not do a thing that you don't like. The Drinker has said this before in the past to not go and harass anyone, so I mean, I don't know. This point is just stupid. Alright, let's continue.
Or he doesn't understand the purpose of an analogy. Stupid people do this all the time. You'll say, well, fish swim and Olympic sprinters run, with the underlying logic being how they locomote, and the stupidest person you know will say, did you just compare a fish to an Olympian? And this is exactly why analogies are on IQ tests. But I'm willing to be charitable to Will and suggest it's the former, that he knows the point that's being made but is misrepresenting it to fit the narrative he's trying to push. I mean, the alternative is to suggest he's low IQ. And I would never do that.
A retard explaining analogy to me is like a Birdman explaining analogy to me. Both are trying to explain it, but doing really horribly because they don't understand it themselves. I don't really have to explain this to Big Brain Birdman, but a proper analogy is a comparison between 2 things, typically for the purpose of explanation or clarification. Birdboy gets this right, but there are some obvious things you shouldn't do when comparing things. For example, a dog running and a life-size dildo tied to the back of a Honda Civic going 50 miles per hour are similar because they are both traveling. Or Adolf Hitler and Harry Potter are similar because they both have black hair. It's jarring, dumbass. Someone with a brain would go, dude, why are you comparing Hitler with Harry Potter? Of fucking course, someone would say something. You're comparing 2 wildly different things. Breaking Bad is considered one of the best, if not the best TV show of all time. The Acolyte isn't anywhere near comparable to it. Sure, you can say, they're both TV shows, and be just as stupid as Birdman, missing the entire point. By the way, we understand the point that's being made. The Drinker understands the point that is being made. We disagree with the point. This is not a misrepresentation. This is a disagreement.
His Twitter alone is an embarrassment of narrative pushes, from platform-boosting known anti-black racists like Kang Min Lee to even shit-talking PETA. Because he perceives them to be left-wing, I guess? I don't know, that last one was just amusing to me.
You see what I mean? Like, how is this shit-talking PETA? He's just... It's so fucking blatant. His points are falling off a cliff, one after the other. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Ma'am, I hate to tell you this, but you let him cook a little too long. He burnt it, and he's fucking retarded. Okay, let's take this a bit seriously. The PETA thing, it's obviously a joke. I mean, it's a chicken joke. You know, I don't know. As for Ubisoft and the tweet he reposted. Like I've said, Drinker talks on politics and things he agrees with, but you should be the last person talking about narrative pushing. Mr. I only care about the facts. Let's bring up your tweets again. Let's bring up your recent tweets. Let's bring up your videos. Ooh, wow, okay. Now, let's show a funny clip.
Black people kinda like hip-hop. Well, real black people and not the trash pandas that you know.
That was really bad.
My nigga.
Golly, it seems you may be a hypocrite.
So I bring you back to this tweet. What do you honestly think he's saying here?
No. Wait. Hey. Wait.
We're back on the fucking tweet.
So far, we've demonstrated he will lie or manipulate a narrative, use a member of a group that he regularly targets as a form of plausible deniability, that he clearly has issues with minority groups, and that he perceives women being in these roles to be a political push. Which of the humans in this image fits all that criteria?
Debunked. Oh, you just keep on lining them up and I'll fucking knock them down. Just more and more baseless assertions. I can make baseless assertions too. Hey, Birdman, you have a small dick. Disagree? Prove me wrong then. This is honestly his logic and thought process throughout his entire life. It's fucking hilarious.
What this person does is not honest critique. He looks for ways he can jimmy in alt-right political talking points under the guise of being a movie reviewer. And I know his fan base doesn't want to believe that he is prejudiced against minority groups, but after everything you've seen here, if you're an honest person, you're at the very least asking questions. Why would he bring up conversations about race in films where that isn't the focus? Why would he lie and manipulate footage of a film made by a person that he politically disagrees with? Why is he spreading misinformation about a woman and attributing political positions to her? What does any of this have to do with film?
In order to answer this loser's questions, you first would have to agree with everything that he's saying. This is a tactic covertly retarded people do all of the time. Not only would you have to agree with him, but you would also have to assume that Drinker is a racist, which again, he does not have any evidence for. Why did he bring up conversation about race in a film where the focus isn't about race? Well, no, that's not... Why did he manipulate footage of a film made by a person that he politically disagrees with? Well, no, he didn't manipulate...
Oh, you did it again!
Why was he spreading misinformation about a woman and attributing political positions to her? What? No, he was reading...
He got off the kitten!
Honestly, it's a very slimy way to ask questions, and it's an attempt to trick the audience.
This is because he's not a film reviewer. He's a political ideologue that complains almost exclusively about mainstream media to push rhetoric. In fact, you'll never see him talking about or promoting anything that's not mainstream unless it's an attempt at a narrative push. So yeah, he'll talk about Squid Game or Kingdom because they're mainstream, but do any of you believe he cares about Korean media at all? You know, because Korean women are probably some of the most feminist on earth, to the point that it heavily contributes to their birth rate decline and the swath of strong female protagonists that permeate Korean media properties? He has no idea because he can only regurgitate talking points against what's in the mainstream, because you can't grift on things people don't know about.
Bro, I don't even know how to go after this. This is kind of a non-issue. I mean, he covers pop media. Like, I don't know what to tell you. He covered Squid Games because it was popular. What? People can cover whatever the fuck they want to cover. You cover popular media yourself. Does he have an obligation now that he watched Squid Games to care about all Korean media? Because he watched Squid Games, now he has to watch A Miracle in Cell No. 7 or Save the Green Planet. Like, as you probably noticed by now, his points get worse and worse as we go on. They stop becoming points and start becoming laughable, honestly. The only thing kind of worth responding to here is that he pushes rhetoric. He's obviously talking about political rhetoric, which means he's saying that he pushes a political agenda. I did say I was going to break this down, so let's start now. Sharing a political opinion is what Drinker does in his reviews sometimes. Birdman does it as well, so don't think Drinker's the only one exclusive in this club. Sharing your political opinions, whether it be social or economic or whatever, can be very natural. Somebody can bring up a topic in a conversation, or maybe a movie can be very heavy-handed in their delivery of spreading a political message. You point it out, you laugh at it, you talk shit if you disagree. Now, let's say you were fighting Luke Skywalker. You're one of the people that he fought on Tatooine. He chops your head off and then he tosses you into the Sarlacc pit. After slowly being digested for about, let's say maybe 300 years, somebody fishes you out. You get lucky, you just get fished out, right? They notice that somehow, someway, you're still alive. So what they do is they stitch you back together, they heal you up for a time, and after a while, you're able to breathe and move on your own freely. But you, unfortunately, after complications due to losing your head, have become blind, deaf, and mute. After all of that has happened to you, I would still expect you to know the difference between pushing a political agenda versus giving a political opinion. If Drinker was pushing a political agenda, all of his content would be in service of that agenda. All I would really have to do to dismiss this argument is to show you times where he shared leftist opinions. Luckily, Idiotison put together some clips that showed exactly this. And like I said before, please support him, go to his channel and watch his video because it's really good.
And I think it might have been worth acknowledging that despite all the silliness and hypocrisy exposed by this film, actual racism is still very much a thing and shouldn't be downplayed or mocked for the sake of political point scoring. It just reminds me of what a fucking good actor she is when she has good material to work with. I mean, let's be honest, when most actresses get to a certain age, interest in high-profile roles start to dry up pretty rapidly, but this movie proves just how flawed that thinking really is. The local sheriff, on the other hand, is a Muslim, a moderate and rational man who's tolerant of other faiths, but as his son gets seduced by the miracles taking place at the nearby church, he's at a loss to argue against it. It's an interesting new perspective from an industry that usually portrays Muslims as fanatical, unthinking zealots, but again, the script never really tries to elevate one particular religion over another. It just offers them up as different perspectives on the same fundamental question, and even suggests that they might have a lot more in common than not. Woke. If there's one word I could choose to erase from the English language, it would probably be that. It's a word that I try to avoid in my own reviews as much as possible, because just like racism and sexism, it's been overused so much over the past few years that it's basically lost all meaning and relevance.
And there you go. Also, there's plenty of videos on Drinker's channel where politics don't get a mention. So yes, frequency matters, but also campaigning matters as well. I don't think there's any video out there of Drinker supporting any candidate running for office, and I've never seen him adhere to a political party. He's never told his audience to go vote for this person or to go support this political group. It's not a strict rule that you have to support a party group or candidate, but if Drinker isn't doing any of this, as well as sharing some progressive views, how is he pushing an agenda? If he's spreading rhetoric or pushing an agenda, he's doing a really bad job. So one, for starters, you absolutely can grift on something that nobody knows about. Success may vary, but if Drinker decided to put out a video talking about some Korean movie or TV show, he's a big enough channel that if he lies about it and tells everybody that it's awful, and also if you take his reputation into account, people will watch that video. By the way, I'm using Birdman's definition of the word grifter here. Alright, now let's get to the bigger argument for this, feminism. Drinker actually doesn't have a problem with strong female characters. Not only is that supported by statements from him, but that's also supported by clips previously that I've shown. The clearest example, as well as characters that I know that you know he loves, are Ripley from Alien and Sarah Connor. These are feminist characters. Is the problem for Critical Drinker feminism, or is the problem heavy-handed messaging? There's a reason why one of his phrases that he repeats often is the message. Not only is their messaging obvious and leaves no room for interpretation, but it makes things boring, frustrating, and anticlimactic. Let's say hypothetically there's a movie with heavy-handed feminist messaging. In the movie, there's a killer on the loose. They're trying to figure out who the killer could be, and these are your suspects. A straightforward, no-nonsense black girl, a timid white girl, a flamboyant gay guy, a cool black guy, and a polite white guy. With heavy-handed messaging, I don't really have to say who the killer is because we all know. Drinker's arguments are usually against heavy-handed messaging. He thinks that it makes the story worse. Not only worse, but it's also predictable.
I think he's 100% right. Like on the surface level of like, no one wants to be preached and pandered to. That's fine. And I 100% agree with that. But on that sort of deeper level, in terms of your enjoyment of the story, once you get that feeling of the author, like I'm not seeing a story here, I'm seeing the author's own personal hang-ups and like frustrations and political views just projected onto this story. He's 100% right in that it just removes you immediately from your immersion. It breaks the immersion of the story. And suddenly you're not able to enjoy it on that level anymore because you're very much aware of the motivations of the person who's writing it. Whereas a good story should just immerse you in it. You're part of the story then, and you're not thinking about, whoa, what was the author thinking when they wrote this? Because that's not what you should be aware of.
You predict the whole story usually when you know that's happening too. You see all the pieces well ahead of time, and then it all rolls out exactly as you'd expect because of who everyone is. Like when you have it get so overt that the evil faction and the good faction are just they're like, this is the correct ideology and I beat you to death, all the ideology I don't like. You're sort of sitting there like I think it's a Thanos quote where you just go, your politics bore me. It's just like, come on, do something interesting, say something instead of just reaffirming one very narrow viewpoint on the world. And then you see people who are just like, I fucking love that film. It's like, why? It's like, because the guys I hate got beaten up by the guys I like.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Anything else?
Well, also, I don't know why the Birdman is talking shit about how much The Drinker covers Korean media. The Drinker just covers popular media. That's what he does. If something in Korea happens to be popular, he will cover it. I don't have to say this because it's obvious, but there's nothing wrong with having a YouTube channel dedicated to covering popular media. His YouTube channel is also dedicated to covering movies. He has a YouTube channel dedicated to covering games. There are dedicated Star Wars channels and there are dedicated Harry Potter channels. Just because your channel is dedicated to a category does not mean that it's bad. By the way, the Birdman does not have a Squid Games review and he does not have a Kingdom review. I don't think he's ever reviewed Korean media. The only time this hypocrite had anything to do with Korean media is when he went over CinemaSins' Everything Wrong with K-Pop Demon Hunters. The Drinker has reviewed Squid Games, All of Us Are Dead, K-Pop Demon Hunters, yes, and Kingdom. He's reviewed more Korean media than the Birdman. Now, if you want to talk about hypocrisy, this is probably a good example.
This is why his review for season 4 of The Boys is what it is. He admits he hasn't even watched it, yet claims it has destroyed its audience, his source being the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
So it was off to Rotten Tomatoes for me to check out the reviews. Not the critic reviews, of course, because nobody in their right mind gives a shit what those fucking shills have got to say about anything anymore. I'm talking about the audience reviews, which is the only semi-reliable barometer for quality these days, and oh.
Besides the fact that TV show reviews on Rotten Tomatoes aren't verified, meaning they are subject to review bombs, why doesn't he keep this same energy with, I don't know, The Marvels, Black Widow, or Quantumania, movies that have pretty good audience scores? Seems like Drinker is the living embodiment of this meme, doesn't it? Of course, he'll never come out and say, I don't want to see black people in lead roles, or I'm tired of female protagonists, like The Quartering stupidly did. It's because being that he's selling something, he has something to lose, so he has to communicate in dog whistles to maintain the facade of plausible deniability.
I've been waiting to talk about this shit, ladies and gentlemen. Fucking hell. Thank God I get to talk about this. At the time of my recording, it's been about a year since this video has come out. And I've been waiting to talk about this part because it's near the end of the video, of his video anyway. And finally we're here. I get to say this clearly, plain, and simple. The Drinker was not reviewing Season 4 in that video. He was not reviewing Season 4, you fucking idiot. Not only is the Birdman misinformed, but also just about every top comment in his video. Like, look at this shit. What the fuck? Like, how is this? Honestly, guys, please read the title and listen to what he says, man. The confusion for this video can maybe be traced back to the beginning, where he praised Season 1, and then he said that he clocked out at Season 3. He gave all of these criticisms for Seasons 2 and 3, and then he started talking about Season 4. With Season 4, he was talking about what the fans thought of the season, he was talking about the discourse surrounding the season, and then he later says that he kind of expected this because of how Seasons 2 and 3 were. He did not review Season 4. He reviewed the discourse surrounding it. If you remember, the discourse surrounding Season 4 was pretty popular. He covers popular shit. And also, this has something to do with a pretty large TV show. One of the key things that people were talking about when Season 4 came out was the heavy-handed political messaging. Oddly, this is like how Seasons 5 discourse is going. Well, at least in Season 4, Homelander didn't ask Billy Butcher to suck his dick, so maybe it's a little better. That being said, Eric Kripke's a bitch. Seasons 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all fucking awful, and nobody should like it anyway. So, back to the Birdman. Usually misunderstandings like this from the Birdman are to be expected. He's a fucking retard, so you kind of expect that he's going to say retarded stuff. However, here it's kind of odd. Drinker got a little bit of a backlash from this. I could see a dishonest person like Birdman taking advantage of people hitting themselves in their own confusion. So he decides to put this in his video so that way the people who were confused and angry about Drinker's video could come over to his channel. It's like a retardception type of thing. I have no proof for this, by the way. This is all speculation. Tell me what you think in the comments. I am happy saying that the Birdman is a dumbass, and this is probably unintentional. It could go both ways for me. Okay, let's get the stupid regurgitation out of the way. I already proved that he's not racist. I already proved that he's not sexist. I proved that heavy-handed messaging was the problem and not the message itself. With that out of the way, let's get to Rotten Tomatoes. As a site, it's pretty horrible. Nobody should really go there. Audience scores are subject to hate bombing, yes, but they're also subject to love bombing. Nobody ever talks about the love bombing bullshit. I mean, do you really think that some of these movies deserve their score? Me and the Birdman are in agreement that Rotten Tomatoes is awful. But you know who else agrees with us? The Critical Drinker. He called Rotten Tomatoes' audience score semi-reliable. That means reliable enough to talk about how the audience is taking Season 4. He also looked at other platforms like X or YouTube. He was talking about the audience.
Why is everyone so fucking stupid? Why aren't more people intelligent? Like me?
Okay, we're gonna watch the ending to his video. This is the end of his video. And, it's fucking cringe, dude.
And Will, I know you're watching, so let me finally address you directly. Film reviews are not your personal soapbox to air out your grievances with minority groups and those that advocate for them. It's irresponsible to your, my, and every other audience that consumes film and teaches them nothing about the art form. You create a hostile environment for neutral people that may stumble across your slop, where they may assume that film criticism is full of people like you. You do a disservice to the craft and give the rest of film YouTube a bad name. I think I speak on behalf of every reasonable film reviewer out there. Go away now.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
Finest quality cringe right here, finest quality. Now this right here is some distilled, purified, fermented, lemon-scented cringe. Hoo-wee. I don't know who gave you that idea, son, but that's fucking awful. Why would you end your video that way? By the way, this isn't a one and done kind of deal. He's always cringe.
At that time, I was just becoming known for my Everything Wrong with CinemaSins series, a comedy series I created to poke fun at one of my favorite YouTube channels, CinemaSins. In those videos, I routinely make blue jokes. I'm famous for never featuring the number 69 in those videos and instead some form of sexual innuendo. My point is, I regularly make sexual jokes in my videos, lampooning CinemaSins' penchant for blue or sexual humor.
No, I need to speak to a manager.
He
He said the thing. He said the thing. Oh no. Oh no, he said the thing. I actually need to speak to your manager. No. I'm here for a real reason.
No, I need to speak.
Dude, if I don't get my pizza, I ain't fucking leaving.
Call jewels in, my dude. Okay. You're making shit up here.
No,
Stop. Let me talk. Okay? Because when I called.
Dude, this guy is so used to being like famous CinemaSins YouTuber who never uses the number 69. Like, it's just so bizarre why he thinks he can talk to a complete stranger like this over fucking $12. Dude, he covered Southpaw recently. Everything's converging. That guy's still around. I didn't know my dick tasted that good. This guy is such a loser. Like, why is he doing this? And like Clockwork. Oh, God. Holy shit, he acknowledged you directly. I think he was waiting on others to address me, so he had backup. They put the battery in his back. Papa Gut respects this man? No, he doesn't. The Birdman?
The third thing, easily the stupidest one. I uploaded a video to my channel of me dealing with an extremely rude manager of a Domino's pizza location. I decided to drive down to the location and confront the manager about his behavior.
This is such fucking cringe, dude. What are you doing? I didn't think it would get more like crazy. I feel like Birdman, you seem like a decent guy. You give me Karen energy. I'm just going to keep it a stack with you, brother.
The funniest claim these idiots made about this situation, though, is that the guy at Domino's was a teenager.
You said your name is.
that looks like a teenager. I mean, that's how big I was as a teenager. I could just see it in his eyes. He looks like a teenager.
And you're the manager at this location here in. You are.
Why are you beefing with a fucking teenager? Bro, what are you doing? You're beefing with a fucking kid, man. What the hell is that?
Are you starting to notice a pattern here, dear viewer?
Unfortunately, I am. You seem like kind of an asshole. I'm just saying.
Yeah, this one gets funnier too. Holy shit, he acknowledged you directly. Yeah, I was waiting on this to address me. Oh, okay. Ready? I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. It is the same picture. It's the same picture of the cancer guy again. He did the cancer guy thing again. Again, he did the They're doing the cancer thing again. Why are they doing the cancer thing again? Why are they doing... That's not him! That's not him! Why do people not realize it's not him?
CNS watching this Birdman guy's hypocrisy video and finding out he fits the definition he gave almost perfectly.
This is the 21st. This is like after,
Nicholas,
isn't it?
The goat.
Is this not after?
My man.
Like, what are we doing here, sir?
That I won a fight against Domino's.
It's just so unserious. Dude, I won a fight against Domino's. Bro, he was the only participant.
Stop wasting my motherfucking time.
This guy's a voice actor, and that was his chosen delivery. Dude, what is this? Why does this person exist?
Fucking always. Okay, now that the video's done and he's done with his supervillain monologue, how about we look at his definition of the word grifter? We'll put his definition here, we'll put his second definition under that, and then we'll have some dictionary definitions of grifter side by side. Let's start with the real definition of grifter. So here is the Merriam-Webster definition of grift or grifting. It is to obtain money or property illicitly, as in a confidence game. It is also to acquire money or property illicitly. The key word here is illicit. What does illicit mean? It means not permitted or unlawful. The Birdman in his definition isn't talking about something that is unlawful, so his definition of grifting can't be derived from this. So let's move on to the next. Vocabulary describes grifter as a con artist, someone who swindles people out of money through fraud. This is a bit closer to what you're saying, except that fraud implies intent to be someone that you're not. Or are you talking about the legal definition, which you're fucking not, so. Also in this definition, there's no mention of outrage. Honestly, I could already hear the comeback for what I just said. Birdman or someone equally mentally deficient will say something like, outrage could be one of the tactics they use to swindle you. Thing is, a grifter has many tactics to swindle. This definition highlights outrage. The modification in his definition, the media modification, doesn't give him the right to change an entire definition. Media grifter should be a grifter in media. And since he didn't clarify which kind of media, then it's general media. Now let's look at the last definition of grifter before we move on to his definitions. The Cambridge definition is the most vague, so this should help Birdman with his definition of grifter, right? Well, let's see. The Cambridge definition of grifter is someone who gets money dishonestly by tricking people. Now that could fit a little bit into your second definition. Here's the problem with Birdman's definitions, though. Let's take a look at his first definition. This is the one unspoken, the one that he put on the screen. It says, media grifter, a person that financially benefits from farming outrage about a media property. This does not mention dishonesty, and it does not mention trickery. It doesn't mention fraud. It doesn't mention any of that stuff. What it does mention is farming outrage. Can you farm outrage honestly? That is a question. If someone, like me, was angry about a specific person, let's say the Birdman, and I made video after video farming outrage, just exposing all of the stupid fucking bullshit, dumbass videos that he makes one after the other, would I be dishonest inherently? My anger carried me out through a whole fucking year and a half, and it's about to be 2. Some people are genuinely angry, and some people want to air out their grievances, whether that be to a movie or movies or to specific practices in this media. Also, the wording is wrong. You see a lot of this in made-up definitions. It says a person that financially benefits from farming outrage about a media property. About a media property. So you're saying one media property. A grifter is a person that financially benefits from farming outrage about a singular media property. A media property. That's how you word it. If someone was to grift outrage about one thing, that's who he would be talking about. You can't say he grifts about one thing, because if we're going to classify all of his videos as grifting, then he talks about multiple things. And remember, with this definition, it has to be one media property. So you can't even say that the one media property is movies, because movies are multiple properties. But if you were to say that, he also talks about games, so that's just nonsensical. In conclusion, your first definition is fucking stupid and nobody should listen to you. Let's go to your second definition. I'm going to read it out first and then I'm going to break it apart. So, it says a media grifter engages in the dissemination of false or misleading information, not necessarily out of genuine belief, but as a calculated move to attract attention, provoke outrage, and maintain relevance in the media landscape. Let's start with the first problem. He describes them as engaging in the dissemination of false or misleading information. First of all, dissemination is derived from disseminate, which means to disperse throughout, or to spread abroad as though sowing seed. Basically, spreading largely to a wide audience is what he means by this. That's kind of odd though, because grifting usually refers to small-scale swindling. Not a big deal though, usually it refers to that, but this could be one of the exceptions. What I want to focus on are the words false or misleading. Let's get through the simple bits first of explaining why this definition is inaccurate. If someone gives you false information unknowingly, is that grifting? Is that lying, or is that just being wrong? Just because someone gives you false information, does that make them a grifter? This is the same with misleading as well. If someone misleads you, are they grifting? Now I know the counter to this is that it has to be multiple times, one after the other. But trust me, just walk with me through this process, because I promise you, it's his wording that reveals his retardation. So remember, the dissemination of false or misleading information, meaning he's casting a wide net of false or misleading information, not necessarily out of genuine belief. Now, with not necessarily, it sounds and it looks like he is covering his ass, saying that he doesn't necessarily have to believe this, but he can believe it. Here's the problem. This is why he's a dumbass. He puts the but there. Says, but as a calculated move to attract attention, provoke outrage, and maintain relevance in the media landscape. Now, the way that this is worded is abysmal. Let's start with not necessarily out of genuine belief. It sounds like, not necessarily out of genuine belief, means that it has room to be a genuine belief, that he actually genuinely believes his false and misleading information, right? Okay, and then it says, but as a calculated move. So if he genuinely does not believe this, he would have a calculated move to attract attention. So it'd be but. So it'd be one or the other. Either he genuinely believes it, or he's making calculated moves. But then the not necessarily part is not necessary. There you go. Thank you. I appreciate the claps, please. Now here's the part that baffles me even more. It says, but as a calculated move to attract attention, provoke outrage, and maintain relevance in the media landscape. Now, if he said, or maintain relevance in the media landscape, that'd be different. The three things that he listed would be separate. You would have to achieve one of three of these things in order to fit this definition. Instead, he says, and that makes it so that his false or misleading information has to do all three of these things. It would have to attract attention, it would have to provoke outrage, and it would have to maintain relevance, all the while being not believed and a calculated move by Drinker. Well, by Drinker and anyone else he calls a media grifter. In this bullshit definition, you would have to attract attention. Now, what counts as attention, I don't know. Are you talking 1,000 views, 100,000 views, 1,000,000 views? How much are we talking in order to attract attention? Is it one person? So that's pretty vague, but it has to attract attention. Okay, keep that in mind. Next, provoke outrage. This one's pretty simple. Your words have to make them angry. Understood. Next, maintain relevance in the media landscape. Now, he can mean this in two ways. One, the more nonsensical way that he can mean this is that they must maintain relevance in the media landscape. That is basically the way that it's worded, but I think he means two, which is that you have to attempt to maintain relevancy. What the Birdman presents to you here is an impossible definition. Not only is it worded poorly and contradicts itself, but it's also the perfect example of retard-coded language. Let's break this down even more. A small creator accidentally stating false or misleading information would be considered a media grifter. YouTube is a media landscape. No matter what he's talking about, he would be a media grifter by this definition. If he had 100 views and the dude was angry about his misleading information, the YouTuber would be a media grifter. Why? Because he attracted the attention of that guy, he provoked him to outrage, and the YouTuber attempted to maintain relevance, as far as we know, to his audience. Frequency doesn't get a mention anywhere in this definition. Because of this, all you have to do is slip up once. Now, you may think that this part accounts for frequency, but it actually doesn't. Engaging in the dissemination of something doesn't really have a timestamp or frequency level to count as dissemination. So in reality, you can just do this one time and it will count as disseminating. Also, if you posted a podcast to an audience, whether specific or broad, and you did that once, that would count. But even if they continuously spread false information and mislead their audience, it would still be difficult to prove that they are a media grifter. All they would have to do is say that they genuinely believe their false information, even if they are on record saying the opposite. They can still say they believe it because they changed their mind or something. As long as the person believes what they are selling, they are not media grifters. If you want to say that they can believe what they're saying and still be a media grifter, then you would have to admit that this definition is wrong because of the way it is worded. If you want it so you still have this definition but they can believe or not believe what they're saying, you would word it like this. A media grifter engages in the dissemination of false or misleading information as a calculated move to attract attention, provoke outrage, and maintain relevance in the media landscape. His original definition is heavily flawed, and this definition is still flawed, but it removes that problem. His definition also doesn't mention why all actual grifters do what they do. Money. This sounds like propaganda with no promise of money, just attention. The reason this definition was so easy to pick apart is because the Birdman is actually stupid. Hidden under the text on the screen and a few choice words to make him sound like an intellectual is actually a guy who's trying his best to pretend he's not a dumbass. He needs you to think he's intelligent so he can debunk the chuds. In reality, he makes up definitions to words already established. This is why he debunks flat earthers. One of the easiest things you could ever do is debunk a flat earther. Just listen to them talk, put their argument in Google, and show the facts. Birdbitch does this because not only is it easy, but it awards him with intellectual brownie points with his audience. Watch, I'll do it. If the world is so round, then why is it that when I go on a plane and I look outside, then it's so flat? I don't see any curvature. Oh, you dummy, you fucking imbecile. You cannot see the curve of the Earth because the Earth is massive relative to your size, resulting in a subtle curve that is hidden by atmospheric haze and the small windows of an airplane. To perceive the curvature, you would need a much wider, unobstructed field of view than the human eye allows at commercial flight altitudes. The key factors of this is the vast size of it, with the circumference of about 40,075 kilometers. That is 24,901 miles, by the way, for you Americans out there. The Earth curvature is extremely gradual. From a cruising altitude of 35,000 feet, you can only see a tiny fraction of the planet. We all know this shit. We all know it. It's fucking easy to do. All you have to do is look it up. And and honestly, I know this shit already just by using my brain, my head. I don't have to fucking do this shit. He pretends to be something that he isn't. Don't let this dried up, moldy sponge attempt to fool you.
Are you fucking retarded? The hell's the matter with you?
Do you want me to be fucking retarded?
And this is perfect to go back to the IQ thing. If you really think that his IQ is that high, you have not been paying attention. The man is simply not smart enough to rebut any claims or even talk about just movies in general. With this stupid Exposing the Grift series, he's trying to get into politics, and I'm telling you, he's not smart enough to do that. Birdbitch is incapable of approaching any topic with any type of nuance. You're either with him or against him, and he thinks that he only speaks facts. So you're either with the facts or against the facts, meaning against him. And that brings me to his narcissism. He thinks that he's owed a lot, and he thinks very highly of himself. All you have to do is ask him, "Hey, Birdman, who should be on Piers Morgan's show going up against Nerd Erotic and Critical Drinker?"
Now, one thing I want to say here is Piers Morgan, if you're watching this, you need to invite somebody like me on this panel, not Mark Lamont Hill. Mark, no disrespect to him, is not familiar with these two motherfuckers. I have millions, with an S, of views on these two guys specifically. I have shown without a doubt that they are among the dumbest people on YouTube and that they do not know what they're talking about. On top of that, they're fucking incredibly dishonest. Mark doesn't know these guys like that. He might know a little bit about them, but I'm intimately familiar with them. So Piers, next time you have these two people on, invite me on the panel so that I can talk to these motherfuckers directly. Because they've been avoiding me, by the way. That's what I want you to know. You need to know that. They've been avoiding me, and I've been cooking these motherfuckers for at least 2 years.
Hey, Birdman, what if I set up a debate between you two?
Care for it. I don't care for it, so I have stopped doing it. I don't know if y'all want me to bring that shit back here on the Fan Fridays. That's something I could do. The way I had it ran was you had to send in a certain amount of money. I think it was like $5. I can't remember exactly what it was. Just so you can't just come on and troll me. You know what I mean? Like if I just opened it for everybody, then everybody would join in and, probably try to get my stream down by saying some, slurs or whatever. So my thought was, if you're going to do that, you have to pay me for the privilege. And now I would think that content creators would want to come on. They got to pay me a lot. You want to talk to me? Where's the dinero, cuz?
Hey, Birdman, how much money do you have and how many cars do you own?
Honor the free pizza. And look, it's not about the free pizza. I have a lot of money. I could buy a fucking pizza if I wanted to.
Hey, Birdman, how high is your IQ again? I find this screen grab funny because this man is woefully unintelligent. If you've been paying attention, you know that his IQ is not even above 40. He displays how high his IQ is with his BAFTA slur video.
Now, I don't know what this person was thinking when their tic manifested, so I'm not here to speak in absolutes. But I have a bit of an understanding of Tourette's, and I know that specifically coprolalia can make a person that is thinking of a taboo word say that word. Words that are taboo produce stronger emotional activation in the brain. Let's call that neurologically charging the brain. Because these words have a social consequence, they create a stronger neural charge, and a person with Tourette's has a condition where the part of the brain that inhibits their self-control misfires. So, it is likely the case that the man in the audience saw two black men on stage, thought of the N-word, and his condition forced him to say what he was thinking. He also shouted the word PDF file when Alan Cumming made a joke about Paddington Bear, stating that because that's a children's character, he inadvertently shouted PDF file. All I'm saying is, his brain seems to be connecting some kind of dots, and he didn't shout the N-word when a presenter was talking about a children's character.
Message! No, this isn't part of the video I'm rebutting. I just find this really fucking dumb, really ignorant. You seriously can't fathom a world without racism. You really can't. Even with people with Tourette's, you fail to understand anything. It's not a voluntary thing. It's a very, very subconscious thing that he's doing. Something deep in his brain that's making him do this. It's a mental condition, you fuck. You have no idea what he was thinking about. Even if he blurted that out, you still do not know. What if in the dark, deep recesses of his fucking mind, he was thinking, without his input, by the way, he was thinking, what is the worst thing that I could say right now in this very moment? With the two black people up on the stage and everybody watching at home, what is the worst thing that I could say? Everyone thinks this way, but not everyone has a condition where they have to blurt out whatever the fuck they're thinking. You fuck!
You're not just wrong, you're stupid. Now wait just a minute. And you're ugly, just like your mum. Did you just call my mother ugly? Shut up! I mean it. I will end you.
Cat, your tail.
What about it? Oh, I see. I've chopped it off. Well, that's interesting because... Son of a bitch!
Now that we're coming towards the end of this video series, I think now is finally time to cap off my narcissism argument. So, ladies and gentlemen, on top of everything that I've already shown thus far, here are some clips to fully back up this claim.
There is the Lupita one, the smallest character in the film. Again, nobody...
They do this for every film. That's what I'm saying. Mark doesn't know. Peers, you need to have this guy on there. A guy that's actually a part of this war against these fucking monkeys, okay? Me versus them, because I make videos on them. I know them like, the fuck is that on my hand? I have videos on these guys detailing that they do this for every fucking video or movie, TV show, everything. Mark doesn't even know that. Okay to say I'm not interested in that thing, but to go on this huge fucking hate campaign for something you don't even know, that is a form of mental illness that the only thing that's a cure is education, is people like me spreading the information, the correct information and the knowledge and the facts and debunking these people. Because holy hell, is that a fucking mind virus? They talk about the woke mind virus. This is a mind virus. Finally, the cynical grifter has put Big Bad Birdman, who hurts my feelings all the time, in his place, right? Okay, well, I'm gonna cook everybody involved here. Unbeknownst to me, there were people doing so, but as far as I know, no one of my size, and not with any regularity. I thought I was already taking on the guys who started terrible media analysis and CinemaSins, but you people are so much worse. So here I am, standing in your way. Not because I dislike you, but because you need to be stopped. I saw Eric's quick response to their video where he makes the point that EFAP seems to have left out a very specific YouTuber who calls out the critical drinker and one who just so happens to also have a response to Drinker's Predator Badlands video. Eric makes the point that it seems suspicious that everyone that made the video is significantly smaller than EFAP and that because I'm bigger than them, they're steering clear of me.
Dude, I completely forgot to address this shit. Holy fuck. Hold on. It's stupid. Man, what a fucking prick. Hold on. Mauler, how many subscribers do you have? 496,000 subscribers. And how many views do you have per video? Almost 400K for Brand New Day. All in Good Time is a short film. He made a short film. He was making films, you know, unlike the Birdman, who laughs at people's attempts at making films. Whatever. The Marvels, his Marvels review got almost 800K views. His Star Wars The Force Awakens review, by the way, old fucking movie, got nearly 400K views on that one. And then his Outlaws review, which is 17 hours, almost 18 hours, got 1.4 million fucking views. He is bigger than you bitch. He averages millions of views all the time. This is his podcast. The Little Platoon has 222,000 subscribers. He should have more. Rags has 302,000 subscribers, and fucking Fringy 58,000 subscribers. These motherfuckers are big, okay? Just because like 3 of them are not above you, Mauler is above you, and they all get more views than you do. The Little Platoon gets more views than you do. Oh, their podcast isn't as big as you are. What? It's a fucking podcast that goes on for hours and hours. Like, shut the fuck up. What the fuck? Okay, sorry. Back to the cringe.
I seem to be the talk of the town. And look, I get it. I have become a name in this space, so people want to see me taken down. That makes sense to me. Everyone wants to see if the challenger that has been knocking people out can take on the champion. It's compelling. You stole this weak AI voiceover idea from your dumbass fans who were so thoroughly impressed by my melodious voice, their only recourse was to cope.
The comments, man, they just, I love the chat right now. Blanca deserves more respect. Motherfucker, do you know who I am? You're looking at the #1 Blanca player on PlayStation in the world.
If you find what I say uncomfortable, it's not because I'm hypocritical. It's because you're too pussy to admit you like following liars.
So, ladies and gentlemen, what have we learned about the Birdman? We learned that he is a narcissist. That part is not up for question anymore, and it's obvious. We've learned that he is race-obsessed, that he is ignorant. We've learned that he's built his career off of the backs of others. We've learned that he likes to make up definitions in the words media grifter. He makes the definitions deliberately vague so that way he can weasel out of it if it ever turns back around on him. A good example of this is when he got criticized for not liking the Venom movie. When he held true to his opinion that the Venom movie was bad, he received some backlash for this. He then held his ground on this topic, saying that this is the antithesis of being a media grifter. Quote, pissing people off because I won't appease their ego or cater to their strongly held beliefs. But then we also know that he is a hypocrite because he turns this around on Drinker with the Thunderbolts. Drinker has never backed down on this opinion that the Thunderbolts are awful, yet he relished in the hate that Critical Drinker was getting and still called him a media grifter.
The snazzy comment says, I like Thunderbolts, want to see more of them. All right. Sure, that's nice. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Wish I could say the same.
Thunderbolts got a slightly better reception from fans, although fuck knows why, but still failed to make any impact at the box office.
But above all of this, above everything else, we found out that the Birdman is a dumbass. The man is woefully unintelligent, and it is a mental condition, so I hope he gets better. But he keeps on saying this message, and it gets more and more casual that these people are white supremacists, they're racist, they're ignorant, they're stupid, they're this, they're that. He goes this hard on them and says these outrageous things without thinking, not only because thinking isn't really in his vocabulary, but also because it makes him money. He is a blood-sucking mosquito buzzing around looking to have his fill and then come back later. It rakes in the views, but the only thing about that is that the Birdman's success is built off of the backs of CinemaSins, Nerdrotic, and Critical Drinker. As we reach the end to this series, I'd like to thank you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching my videos. There will be more videos soon, and there won't be as much of a wait. This series took me 1.5 years to finish, and being at the end is just surreal for me. So, thank you all. I will be back very soon with more content for you all, and as always, later, fat ass.
You know, honor the free pizza. And look, it's not about
Dude, they have dishonored my free pizza.
the free pizza. I have a lot of money. I could buy a fucking pizza if I want.
It's not about money. It's about sending a message.
Too.
Oh my god, dude, this is deranged. This is fucking deranged.
Over the phone. So, yes, I'm a human being. I got upset myself and I drove down there and confronted him. But at the end of the day, I feel like I was the one in the right.
I'm sure you do. This guy thinks he's life's fucking protagonist. This is so insane. This is so insane.
The Acolyte is one of the worst piece of trash television fucking cunt. By the way, just as a side, fuck Freddy Fridge Juice. Fuck him. I gotta calm down. This motherfucker.
Stop ranting about Star Wars.
The fuck are you?
Meditate.